This is All India Radio. Whispers of the Wind. All India Radio, in collaboration with Vigyan-Prasar, presents science serial Whispers of the Wind, based on understanding and managing climate change and global warming. Let's listen to episode number 7, entitled Is Climate Change a Reality or a Statistical Gimmick?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are gathered here to discuss the topic, is climate change a reality or a statistical gimmick? And today, we are going to try to analyze, rather debate ourselves, whether really there is something like climate change. And is it so harmful, or it is attention grabber, or trick of the statisticians, politicians, to put pressures that is intended to make people notice it? And for that, we have got distinguished environmentalists, Dr. Rakesh.
Hello everyone, good morning.
Dr. Ritesh.
Hello everyone, hello.
Meteorologist from IMD, Dr. Shelja. Hello everyone. Government panelist as policy maker, Engineer Saurabh.
Good morning, everybody.
And finally, we have got Sai and Kriti.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
We both are students.
And we are looking forward for this knowledge-enhancing interaction.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you everyone. Thank you Sai and Kriti for giving us an insight that you are very much looking forward to this. And I'm glad that you are keen to know more.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
The most common definition of climate change is a change or alteration in the statistical properties of the climatic parameters of atmosphere when considered over long periods of time, that is, regardless of the cause. Fluctuations over periods shorter than a few decades, such as El Nino, do not represent climate change.
Sir, can you please explain in detail about El Nino?
Oh, sure. Well, El Nino is a climate pattern that describes the unusual warming of surface waters in the eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. In other words, El Nino is the warm phase of a larger phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
It is also called the El Nino Southern Oscillation, which is ENSO in short.
Okay, I'll just write it.
Well, Dr. Rakesh, I hope students will definitely understand. You see, the perspective of geologists, ecologists, and meteorologists, the scientists and environmentalists who are good at understanding the subject on the global warming or the climate change, they have all been grouped together by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is called the IPCC. It is an international scientific panel or committee established in 1988 by the United Nations organizations UNO, the World Meteorological Organization WMO, and United Nations Environment Programme UNEP.
Okay.
And do you know, students, many nations have also joined this panel to understand the status of their respective countries. Currently, 194 countries constitute the members of IPCC, and our India is one of them.
Okay.
That's great, Dr. Shelja. Now, Dr. Ritesh, would you please give us some necessary information required to be collected?
Yes, sure, Dr. Shilpa, I will. And thank you so much for inviting me to this wonderful discussion. You see, the basic need to estimate the extent of climate change is to have reliable, well-calibrated, time series data or information on the above parameters, measured through identical methods for the area to be considered. Such authentic data will minimize the error in extrapolation or interpolation in statistical derivations through modeling and final outcome of the interpretations.
Okay.
This is the first requirement for defining the extent of climate change and future predictions through statistical analysis.
Well, here I would like to add a few things. Meteorological departments of respective countries do generate information on climatic conditions. But at times, the uniform methods or instruments are not used over there. Dr. Saurabh,
Yes, Dr. Shelja.
do we have such unbiased comparable data for whole of the world? Say the developing countries and the developed countries?
Dr. Shelja, probably the answer is no.
But why?
The global warming debate is an ongoing dispute about the effects of humans on global climate and about what policies should be implemented to avoid possible undesirable effects of climate change. The current scientific consensus on climate change is that whether recent warming indicates a fairly stable long-term trend, and is the trend largely human caused?
I believe there are still some doubts in the minds of people. Is it likely that serious damage may result at some near future time? If climate change, let's say, is really happening, then what steps exactly are needed by humans to halt the trend? Alright, so students, any one of you would like to add some details about the worldwide institutions involved in this? Anyone?
Ma'am?
Yeah, Yakriti, please go ahead.
Thanks, ma'am, for giving me a chance to tell you about agencies responsible for global warming deliberations, which we learned in our college. In addition to WMO, UNO, and UNDP, other universal scientific organizations like Royal Society, American Geophysical Union, Joint Science Academies, American Meteorological Society, and American Association for the Advancement of Science are associated with Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that is IPCC. They all agree with the opinion that most of the observed warming over the last 50 years is likely due to the increase in greenhouse gases concentrations caused due to human deeds.
Wonderfully said, Kriti.
Very true. But we were also told that there are small but number of vocal scientists in climate and climate-related fields who disagree with the consensus view. Ma'am, by now all of us have got enough knowledge about what are greenhouse gases and how they are produced through human activity.
I agree. But still, a common person is in a confused state right now and needs briefing about the realities regarding the reasons for abrupt changes currently occurring in atmospheric parameters.
Yes, Dr. Shilpa. Major climate change impacts experienced by humans are countless, specifically with respect to health-related issues. Dr. Ritesh, can you elaborate the important factors which need consideration in this issue?
Absolutely, Dr. Saurabh. You see, the 5 major facts in relation to impact of alteration in climatic parameters are worth emphasizing here. Let me tell you. Firstly, it is the rising temperatures. You see, as temperatures climb up, more heat waves are expected. Extreme heat can cause dehydration, heat stroke, and major organ damage to the humans. You see, specific category of people, including the elderly, the children, and the poor with minimum protective facilities, are at more risk from the impacts of heat waves. And secondly, it is the water cycle.
Water cycle?
You see, increasing global temperatures can lead to droughts, changes in annual rainfall, sequence of water equilibrium leading to water scarcity or stress.
Of course, water is life and needed for drinking, household needs, irrigation, agriculture, recreation, industry, commerce, and thermoelectricity energy generation. Sir, humans will experience climate change poses a huge threat to freshwater availability.
Yes, sir, she's right. You know, in our environmental science chapter, there is an example of water depletion. It is stated that the largest reservoir in the US, that is Lake Mead, contained less than half the amount of water in 2015 as it did in 2000. And many cities around the world could face a similar fate. And you know what? Climate change is making our water supply much less secure. Behavior of coastal waves and currents can also change, leading to complicated stormy conditions. So, sir, what can we do to minimize the adverse impact on maintaining water balance?
You have raised some excellent points here, Sai, and you will definitely get the answer for your query in the subsequent discussions.
Okay.
So now let us go ahead, and the next point here in climate change is about air. You see, air quality. The air pollutants like greenhouse gases, that is GHG, are the main cause of global warming. Along with GHGs, emissions from burning fossil fuels, wildfires, smoke, industrial emissions, and vehicular exhaust carrying fine particles can penetrate deep into the lungs. You see, intake of air pollutants is linked to short-term and long-term impacts like burning eyes, suffocation, or difficulty in breathing, coughing, bronchitis, asthma, lung cancer, heart diseases, cancers, and even death.
Oh my
My
god!
God, it's sounding so dangerous. Then we have to take timely precautions to protect ourselves.
Of course, you must take precautions. You know the next factor? The next factor is the vector-borne diseases.
Vector-borne diseases.
Of course, vector-borne diseases are illnesses spread by insects or arachnids like mosquitoes, fleas, mites, and ticks. As our climate becomes warmer, some insects will grow in tons, and they are spread to new regions, bringing the viral epidemics. Viral diseases like Zika, Ebola, avian influenza, that is AH7N9, and the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, coronavirus, that is MERS-CoV, the pandemic H1N1, influenza at the human-animal interface HAI, the Lyme, which is caused by Borrelia burgdorferi, transmitted through the infected black-legged ticks. And there are many more outbreaks that were recorded in the recent years.
Oh my God.
Yes, students. Incidentally, temperature rise is also concurrently recorded, which gives scientists a chance or scope to at least correlate global warming with such epidemics. And do you know which is the last point?
And I will explain the last one. It is extreme weather. Climate change has been linked to many types of extreme weather, including hurricanes and floods. These lead to tremendous loss of property, lives, and ecosystem. Not only can these extreme weather events have immediate fatal consequences, but they can lead to major injuries and the spread of waterborne illness such as wound infections, dermatitis, conjunctivitis, ear, nose, and throat infections.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh, and also Dr. Shelja for the elaborate information.
You're welcome.
It's our pleasure.
So, if we presume that climate crisis and its impact on people around the world are real, look, the presumption is scary. So, Dr. Saurabh,
Yes?
can you please tell us the history of climate change?
The basic science behind climate change is actually quite simple, Dr. Shilpa. 150 years ago, many well-known scientists like Irish physicist John Tyndall, Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius, Jagdish Bhagwati, Susan George, and many more discovered that increasing the amount of carbon dioxide, they then called carbonic acid, in the atmosphere along with some colorless and invisible gases and vapors would cause rise in global temperature due to absorption of radiant heat from sun. But the idea remained mostly an academic question until the mercury really started rising with noticeable increase in temperature.
Oh.
Yes, sir. I remember this was taught to us in high school days. As we all know that sun is the only source of external heat for Earth. Sunlight passing through atmosphere heats the surface of the Earth and releasing heat in the form of long-wave infrared radiations. Presence of greenhouse gases in lower atmosphere result in trapping and absorbing these radiations and heat Earth's surface more.
Guys, to continue the topic, here is more information.
Okay.
The IPCC panel also concluded there is a better than 95% probability that human produced greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide have caused much of the observed increase in Earth's temperature over the past 50 years.
Really?
The main reason for the increase in greenhouse gas causing warming is uncontrolled, unbalanced activity by huge population. industrial activity, combustion of fossil fuel, and improper management for minimizing such generation.
Sir, there is no doubt about your statement. Scientifically, correlation between warming of Earth and quantitative increase of greenhouse gases is a reality with authentic reasoning. Sir, it is technically proved beyond doubt that increased level of greenhouse gases are causing global warming.
Yes, and the evidence was first supplied by Tyndall. It is possible to prove without conducting a planet-scale experiment which a group of scientists were insisting to conduct to prove the shift in planet's energy balance towards the higher side. Dr. Shelja, can we get some details of energy balance and greenhouse gases generation?
Of course. I'm happy to note that all of you are aware about today's topic. It's excellent. Actually, it is simple to explain the increase in greenhouse gases in atmosphere. Say, for example, the design capacity of people in a train coach is fixed, okay? But it is seldom exceeded during travel. Limited sources available in a coach, like the space and the fresh air that are circulating, they are utilized by large number of passengers, bringing shortage and limitations.
Yes.
And this results in creating stress. Similarly, the earth has fixed assimilative capacity or the natural ability to handle the changes in the environmental factors. So if humans exceed this ability, obviously the impact will be exerted, creating pressure on natural systems.
So true. But then, Dr. Shelja, I came to know that on Thursday, 4th of May 2017, Ian Johnston, the environment correspondent, he has raised certain issues about authenticity or reality of the climate change phenomena.
Okay?
He has reservations about climate change and also the warming of Earth. And he expressed his concern about what will happen next and also what can we do about it. Is climate change so bad for humans? Or what if there's a little climate change?
Dr. Shilpa, opinions differ with variety of the persons. Some commentators, including the Global Warming Policy Foundation, GWPF, they adopt a so-called lukewarmist position.
Meaning?
It means agreeing that the climate is changing, but is not certain that's a bad thing. They reserve their judgment on controlling. You see, this group is arguing that the climate change will not be too bad.
What?
Yes. There is no need to stop using the fossil fuels, which may be taken up as the long-term phase-out policy. Alternative safe fuel sources have to be explored. They saw a positive point that global warming can lead to beneficial effects such as the global greening.
Global greening?
Yes, the global greening, in which the plant growth is boosted by the extra carbon in the air.
Oh my God.
However, it can happen only if we preserve the forest and not destroy for humans' greed under the banner of development.
Both the groups are at odds with the science. Professor Tim Palmer, an Oxford University physicist who has worked on reports for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that's IPCC, has explained in a recent talk at the Royal Society the scientific consensus on climate change. He said that impacts could be anything between minimum and extreme. Dr. Ritesh, can you please throw some light on the application of computer models?
Yes, absolutely, Dr. Shilpa. You see, I have been involved in the modeling of these computers, and hence I will share my thoughts with all of you. It is stated that the computer models are developed using mathematics, the laws of physics, and the best available knowledge. According to output of these computer models, which are based on mathematical equations, the world's temperature may well rise between about 1.5 degrees Celsius and more than 5 degrees Celsius of warming as a result of the doubling of atmospheric carbon
Oh
dioxide.
my God.
So far, it has raised from about 280 parts per million, a level that had remained fairly constant from the end of the last ice age to the 1800s in the pre-industrial era, to more than 400 ppm today. To be precise, it was 384 ppm in 2007. You see, the Kyoto Protocol has identified three main GHGs, that are carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, which are produced mainly due to industrial activity and fossil fuel burning. So, if the adaptive measures are not taken, we may reach soon the double level of carbon dioxide, that is 560 ppm.
560 ppm.
Dr. Ritesh, thank you so much for this important information, but please add some more information about how the computer models on climate change run.
Yes, of course. You see, the computer models on climate change are often the source of mockery from climate skeptics or deniers. Their output is based on the authenticity of data files of observations, which is the main input. You see, however, they have actually proved remarkably successful when measured against actual observations. When Arrhenius' prediction that the Arctic would warm more quickly has proved to be true.
Okay.
Thanks a ton, Dr. Rakesh, Dr. Shelja, Dr. Saurabh, and also Dr. Ritesh. Well, dear participants, it is a reality that production of GHGs has increased. And most of the world has come to the conclusion that fossil fuel use should be phased out rapidly and try to minimize the chances that devastating storms, deadly heat waves, floods, droughts, and other extreme weather events will wreak havoc to an unprecedented extent. Some of the hottest and most humid parts of the world are already getting close to the point where humans are no longer able to lose enough heat to stay alive outdoors.
Yes, and this is a global warming conspiracy theory. It invokes claims that the scientific consensus on global warming, it is based on the conspiracy to produce manipulated data or suppress dissent.
What?
Yes, it is one of a number of tactics used in climate change denial to legitimize political and public controversy, disputing this consensus. And do you know what? Global warming conspiracy theorists typically allege that through worldwide acts of professional and criminal misconduct, the science behind global warming has been invented or distorted for ideological or financial reasons, or both. So, to conclude, science had made enormous efforts in understanding the climate change and its causes on the global level. Today's discussions, I think, would be very helpful to develop strong understanding of most probable current and future potential impacts that will make our life difficult. It will also help people to acquire knowledge of necessary actions to be followed now and in the coming decades.
To sum up, I feel active participation of all the people with elaborate scientific debate for this complex topic and careful examination of alternative evaluation will be helpful to save our Mother Earth, to have our future life comfortable. And parents should encourage the kids to conserve and also preserve our environment. Thank you for the wonderful contribution on the recent topic of concern to all.
Whispers of the Wind. You were listening to the 7th episode of this science serial produced by All India Radio in collaboration with Vigyan-Prasar, titled Is Climate Change a Reality or a Statistical Gimmick? This episode was written by Dr. Shivani Dhage. Coordinators were Dr. Nakul Parashar and Dr. Birinder Kumar Tyagi. This episode was directed by Sudarshan Kumar, presented by Dilip Jha, and assisted by Arvind Sharma. Participants were Nikhil Diwan, Vaibhav Srivastav, Rakshit Thaplayal, Tanvi Khurana, Mamta Malkani, Pranchu, and Megha Sharma. Hey listeners, please stay with us. Here are 2 questions for you. The lucky winners will get attractive prizes from Vigyan-Prasar. The first question is, what is El Nino? And second question is, what is John Tyndall effect? You can send your answers by simple post. Our address is Science Serial, Whispers of the Wind, All India Radio, room number 615, New Broadcasting House, Sansad Marg, New Delhi 110001. You can also write on our email ID radio@vigyanprasar.gov.in. Please do write or mail us your full name, age and profession. If associated with Science Club, do let us know the membership of your club. If you have any query or question, do not hesitate to write to us. We will be back again with the next episode of this science serial, Whispers of the Wind, same day, same time next week. Till then, goodbye.